episode 32, presented by no one. Um, presented by no one since I don't have a sponsor, but we're currently working it. Today's topic is going to be a little different. This is going to be a second real life topic, which we're not going to focus solely on video games. We're going to be doing educational system today. Now, I mentioned many times in the show, I am in college. I'm a freshman at I mentioned Santa Fe College in Florida, and I said, okay, I've been in the education system for about 12 to 13 years already. I know the gist. I know what the problems are or what is good about them. So I kind of wanted to talk to someone who's already graduated from college or hopefully is still pursuing it. So I got a special guest here today. We're going to let him introduce himself.
Hi there. My name is Jordan Duncan. I graduated from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville with a business management degree, and I had a marketing collateral.
Nice. So get the first question in.
Sure.
What got you interested in wanting to pursue a business major, and what did you want to do, and why did you want to go to the Knoxville, University of
Um,
Tennessee?
yeah, oh, sorry, hang on just a second. I wanted to go with a business degree because I wasn't really like dead set on anything, and I had some pretty decent connections from family and home in the business industry. I should have hit that shot, sorry. So I just thought it'd be the most versatile thing, and it would just give me a good chance to get a job and also still be an affordable degree that is useful, not like an arts degree or
What?
anything.
Yeah.
I did choir for 6 years, and I thought about doing music for a minute. Um, I did a little bit of sports journalism at UT also for the school paper.
Hmm. What what did your family do like during college, like when they were in college, or like what are their like current jobs right now in regards to degrees and such,
Yeah,
and
my
why?
mom. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, that's okay. I'm done with the
Okay.
question.
Yeah, my mom is a uh, she was a nurse and anesthetist, and now I think she has a doctorate in anesthesiology. My dad, uh, he gives professional baseball hitting lessons. He played at Miami in college, and he played for the Oakland A's for a little while.
Nice.
So
Kind
that's
of
what
different.
they
Kind
did.
of different. So you didn't want to follow at least your mom's career path.
Yeah, not particularly. My wife
You
is
scared
a
of blood?
no, not at all.
Oh.
My wife's a pediatric emergency nurse, so she
Nice.
has taken on that role. I don't know. I just didn't. It just didn't really appeal to me that much. I think I'd get too
Oh
attached to
yeah.
the patients, and you can't do that. Like my wife is really good at being professional and just kind of doing what she can for them without getting too involved or whatever.
That's kind of expected from the job, but I get your point. You just don't
Yeah.
want to, especially if you're saving someone's life. You don't want to, kind of, you want to make it comfortable, but not make it too comfortable, or like try to get like, try to act serious, but don't make it overly serious
Yeah, and I mean
most of
it's
the time.
it's not like she's like cold or anything. Like she's very, she's always trying to make the kids as happy as she can, and she's really good at it. She knows like a bunch of children's movies like by heart just from watching them every day with all these kids. And she's learning to
I got
speak
it.
Spanish because we live in Colorado and there's a lot of Spanish-speaking patients.
And also, second part question: what got you to want to go to University of Tennessee at Knoxville?
My dad and his best friend have been Tennessee fans like forever, so I was basically born and raised being a Tennessee fan. Our teammate
So you lived in
left.
Tennessee
Okay.
for most of your life
Yeah,
until
yeah.
you
I
said
grew
you
up
went
in
to
Memphis.
Colorado.
Uh huh.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Give you a heads up. The reason I said and like go Vols because I applied to five colleges. When I lived in Michigan, I just said okay, let me apply to five colleges. I want to get out of the state of Michigan, but I did apply for University of Michigan. I went to Tennessee, applied for Tennessee, Michigan, Georgia, North Carolina State, and Florida.
Nice.
that was the only college I got accepted to.
It's pretty
Even like
great, honestly. It's very underrated. Nowadays, it's
but
I just miss that shop too.
yeah.
Nowadays, it's even
But
better.
due to unfortunate circumstances, I didn't. It was money issues where I have to pay like a lot of money just to go out of state. So I decided to take a community college route and kind of reunite some of the my dad's side of the family um, back in Florida, Gainesville. So that's kind of
Nice.
why I chose Santa Fe. But I'm planning on University of Florida once I get done with. I'm also going with physical therapy assistant, so it's a little bit of a it's along the nursing lines. Then going straight into physical therapy. The reason I kind of chose it because first, my both of my parents are nurses. So I kind of didn't want to follow that path, though they were trying to encourage me to all the time. Say, "Oh, be a doctor, be a doctor." Well, I'm gonna be a doctor somehow, or once I get done with this physical therapy degree in 4 to 5 years or something like that. And I said, "Okay, let me do it." And it's something that involves me a little more. Like I always like going to the gym, being act like I like more movement stuff. So like always helping rehab, like always try to perform rehab myself. Like even if I have like knee pain or arm pain or any
Hmm.
sort of pain, I try to like do that. So it's something that interests me a little bit more, and it kind of it's more involved in of my life somehow, just because of gym and such. So
Yeah.
that's why I kind of pursued it. But hopefully it will kind of get a degree soon enough. So that's cool. First question I have for you is, do you think tests and quizzes or like are the best way to decide if a student will succeed in life or not, or like succeed in college, or just say succeed in life? We're gonna go with the whole full picture here.
Um,
And
I think it can be. It really depends. Learning is very individual. It depends on the person. But I think the most important thing comes from the student side, and it's work ethic. You just have to be willing to just put everything else aside and focus every day, because that's what it takes to really succeed and get good grades and do all that stuff.
yeah,
Even if you're talented and smart, like if you don't have the drive behind it, it doesn't matter.
one thing I was about to say, do you think there should be more approach? Like you should do like more like provide like applied um work instead of just doing it from tasks where you just memory and crap.
I
Like
think
you
it's
think that
yeah,
should be more involved?
yeah. It's I've been in a few classes that are more like that, and yeah, it's very helpful. It's good to mix it all up and give a lot of different parts of your brain like time to process what's going on. There's a lot of different
Have you
ways
had
to
any yeah.
learn
Have
mnemonic
you ever had any
devices.
classes where you had to do that? Like really apply it?
Yeah, I had to. You got to do like general
Besides like
education
wasn't
stuff.
folk okay, let me add on this. Forgot that.
Hmm.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Like do you think there's wait, let me try oh sorry. Like
you're
what
good.
classes do you had you had to do that? I'm just curious. Because a lot of
Um,
all my classes so far had were like a lot of them were currently focused on lectures and tests and all that. And never really had anything where I have to apply it yet.
and you're not done with college yet, right?
Yeah, yeah, I'm like first year, so
Yeah,
I
that's
was
why.
expecting lectures all the time. Yeah,
Yeah, so you're still in like the general education phase. I had
yeah.
some biology courses where like there was a lab tied to it, so you had to actually go in there and do experiments and write up lab reports and do all that. When I got further into my business major, there were a few courses that were applied or like there was one where it was a giant group and it was a scenario where the class was divided up into like four different companies or whatever, and the companies would all work together to accomplish whatever task was set forth by the instructor. But there was a lot of things of that nature. And yeah, it was really helpful because it helps you kind of actualize what you're going to be doing or visualize also.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't really think, in my honest opinion, I don't really think tests and quizzes are really best way because the first thing you don't learn all the material. Like they're all random questions. Yeah, it puts a lot of, it's because in real life you're gonna have to remember this stuff without having a textbook or a note sheet right behind you,
Mhm.
especially in a degree like nursing or business might be different, but especially kind of where like it's on the fly. You have to you get put into different scenarios. You gotta learn all the scenarios possible, and I got that. But I don't know. It's just really hard because like a lot of people are horrible test takers.
Right.
A
I
lot of
had
people are
test
really good
anxiety
students,
pretty
but
bad.
yeah, it's common where especially doing tests and quizzes. Those are considered the most important things. Or most, it's one day, but it matters. It covers a lot of, it's a specific time period. It's one
Good
hour. You got to
shot.
complete this test and all that. But it's just not the best way to kind of criticize because again, people can deal with stress, but I think it's just kind of constant where especially in college, where you just got a lot of tests. Everything matters because again, going for a specific program, you have to do good in your general classes, or otherwise you might not get accepted to it. So it's very, I don't know. It's just it feels like also just the time periods, like how rushed it could be sometimes, where they have these tests. I think it's just a big factor in why sometimes students might not like people might not know why they don't succeed, although they were good in high school, but once you put the pressure on constantly learning new stuff in like a 3 month time period, where especially if it's a really hard class, how are you gonna do? A lot of people focus solely on one class. Like I take an ANP 2 class or anatomy and physiology class. I put a lot of focus on that class instead of the other ones, and it could suffer through the other classes, and I don't know. I don't think it's the best way, and also, it just doesn't. You need to have experience. You can't testing. You don't do testing in the hospital. You don't like no one walks up, no manager or nurse or whatever boss walks up and he said, "Oh, we gotta do this test for you." All that shit. So
They do have teaching
like the walking
hospitals,
up,
but it is a lot more
yeah, they
practical.
do.
You're right.
So it's just kind of having that experience to
Hmm.
have it. And same thing is kind of with your business major. You're gonna have like maybe seeing how you get yourself put in different situations, how you do it by yourself instead of just kind of
Get an
multiple
internship.
choice and all that.
Those are really
Yeah. So
helpful.
you
If you
gotta
can
have that
land one of
experience,
those, you're
and
good.
that's what should happen in college. Yeah, just having that experience constantly.
Hmm.
Next question I have for you: Why do you think what do you think of the out-of-state tuition cost being about 3 times as much as in-state tuition,
Yeah,
even if the college is public?
I'm not like a huge fan of that. I mean, sometimes it just kind of has to be that way because of admission rules. And in-state people should get priority. Um, because that is just the easiest place for them to be. It kind of they're doing it to enforce like localizing everybody, just trying to keep everybody grouped together. But I mean, it's not the best because I wanted to go to school in Mississippi initially, and it was like 3 times more expensive than Tennessee. But I'm really glad I went to Tennessee.
Yeah, that's I don't know. I was just like so many colleges you want to go to. It's like I could have. I told you I mentioned I wanted if I could have took the offer to go to Tennessee, but
Mhm.
that was the tuition. Going down. In state was probably about I didn't really look at the prices. Like like what was the in-state tuition for you at University of Tennessee when you went there? Again, it's probably different now.
Yeah, it's more. I know it's more expensive now, but honestly, I'd have to look up the numbers. I don't remember.
Was it like in the 4 digits, not in the not in the 5 digit range?
Yeah, not five, not for in-state.
That's just crazy. I don't know. Especially if I don't especially knowing you have to pay for dorm and all that. And
Well,
especially in the future when you have to go get like a hot well, yeah, if it's your choice if you want to go dorms, but you gotta get a job and you gotta spend about a lot of your earnings on tuition. It's just crazy. Especially if your family doesn't follow you there. Unlike my situation, but it's just really hefty on the bills and all that just for out of state tuition. And then lucky if you get residency real early, like just after. I think it's horrible like the first year, because of you don't have that full residency yet, but it's such a big effect, especially being a 18-year-old student who is going to a different college in a different state, having to do a lot more, you know, have to worry about money constantly. Although yeah, every college student worries about money, but you have to worry about more because of how expensive it is just for out-of-state student. That's crazy.
Hmm.
But I don't think that should be really a thing. I think especially if you want to open up your diversity in the college. In the case of yeah, you know, you want to keep that local talent, that local crowd that, you know, is built on. But especially if you're a big, you know, SEC school in this case, you know, you want to get as many students as possible.
Right.
And you know, it's nice to kind of include more and more different cultures into your community, even if it's, you know, not really, you know, even if it's not, you know, you want that local folk crowd, but you know, it's nice to have that different culture in there that can really make the community different, and grow and kind of get the college more respect and more money overall. But I don't, you know, more enrollment makes it more successful and doesn't have to worry about enrollment rates all the time, because of money concerns. And I don't know if they're ever going to fix that, but I think it's going to be harder in the future. But I think if, especially with the ever growing population, I think there's a high chance they could decrease it. But although the money might be more expensive,
Damn.
if they do increase it, it will be more with the population. I think you could see it more regularized. Are you about to say something?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm shocked about the game.
Uh, speak. Oh, speaking of money, what is your opinion on college athletes getting paid?
I definitely think that as hard as those kids work, and as talented as they are, they deserve some kind of compensation for the value they bring to the university. Like I said, I was a sports journalist. I covered mainly women's volleyball, and I was like good friends with a few of the players, and I was pretty close with the coach. I had friends on most of the sports teams. My best friend at the time, my college roommate, was a manager on the football team at UT, so I got to see a little more about sports than most did there. And I mean, they're good, hardworking kids for the most part.
Especially, do you worry that the reason? What do you think the reasons they? You know, it's been being enforced. You know, California just started doing this. Probably gonna be implemented 2021 or 2022. I don't know when. Where they're gonna pay college athletes.
I saw
Why do you
that.
think
Yeah.
this was the case? Why they don't get paid? Like, what do you? I know you probably heard a lot of the stuff already, but why do you think the reason they don't get paid? Heavily.
Um, I mean, I don't know, honestly. I'm not sure why. It's never made any sense to me. I think they should get paid. I've kind of always thought that. The thing is, like, a lot of athletes aren't even going to have to go to college anymore if they're good enough. I mean, there's the implementation of a lot of like lower division farm leagues, which get. Oh, please tell me I hit that. Let's go.
Oh, sure.
Thank you. Anyway, it's like for the guys that are like not quite ready for the top tier level, the guys under that, like guys could just skip over the college level and go straight to that if they're getting paid more, if that's what they want to do with their career, because it will circumvent a year of like wear and tear on their body, risk of injury for literally no money. And the one and done rule is apparently going to get revoked at some point in the future. So college basketball is going to basketball specifically is going to really change. The landscape is going to change a lot. Well, that was a
I do
great
like
shot.
that. It's just kind of the minors league and all that. The G
Mhm.
League has, you know, they pay a certain amount of money. I don't know how much the
Yep.
contracts are, but it does make sense that it is being kind of implemented. Um,
Mhm.
because yeah, they do get scholarship, but they don't. You know, I think that's one of the reasons I could think of it.
That is compensation, yeah,
Where
but
the
and they get like
yeah, so
stipends, but they don't get
yeah,
any kind of like spending money. They don't get a. What really sucks is like they get no compensation for their likeness and their abilities. So I mean, if the college sells a jersey, of that kid gets none of the money, and that jersey could make them like $2 million. You never know. Depends on how popular the player is. It's just not. It's not exactly fair.
And yeah, I think that's been a big complaint about the paying money thing.
Hmm.
It's just where you got that's a lot of money you can make off a jersey. You can't sign it. You can't do that. A lot of athletes got in trouble for that. Johnny Manziel, I think Jameis Winston, Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Some of them were, they got in trouble for that. I think Todd Gurley too.
Yep.
Reggie Bush,
They
because
all
they
made
could
it
have
to
spent
the
money.
NFL though.
Reggie Bush was yeah. Um, but it's just something I think the NCAA has incorporated, enforced that shouldn't have been a thing.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that's where you got to argue with the NCAA on that. I'm not.
Woo!
Whatever
What a
case it
bomb!
is, that was nice. Um, I think it's just what the NCAA wants to do. But the thing is, they really don't. It's they're really strict and all
Yeah.
that. So I can't really do anything. We can't do anything with that. So next question: from the time you graduate from high school, how has the scene and culture changed? This so I said for this question, if you have any siblings, if that are currently in high school, or I'll kind of explain mine, or like what do you expect since you graduated from high school? What do you kind of expect? How has it changed, or the culture and such?
Culture of what?
If it makes any sense.
The culture of what? Like what's changed?
Like how do you like the people? I don't know how I want to say it, but like the people in high school, like, or so, oh, that's a hard question to kind of come up with, but like, what do you expect the typical high school student like like from when you went to now, like again,
Well,
anything, any answer could work.
um, I know they're a lot more technologically savvy than my generation was. My generation was like when floppy disks were a thing. That's when I was young. So they
Oh,
just know a little bit more. Like my sister goes to a nice private. She went to the same private school that I did, and they have like computers and iPads and all kinds of stuff they use for projects and everyday class stuff like I never had. I still had like a normal chalkboard, and smart boards were like a thing when I was like 7. So
well, that's no
they know
problem.
more about
I know
tech.
it's not really used too much. I'm gonna explain it since I just graduated. I think it's gotten worse. Like, I think ever since the implementation of technology, um I think it's just had a big effect on schools. First thing, teachers are gonna getting annoyed by how many students use school. Students have students have less care. Especially with technology. There's been a big drug epidemic coming soon. Vaping, which I'm not a big fan of. Like a lot of people vaped and followed that trend for a while. Students are getting more or caring more about their. I'll explain this question later, but you care more about like the popularity than like how this is like what can you do to succeed in high school or college and such.
Yeah, it's
And it
yeah.
just kind of sucks that's turned into that, but you know it's expected, especially with the population getting more younger and tech savvy. I think it's just going to go worse and worse, even if they are at an advantage at a young age. It's just technology has been the big effect. Um, so next question for you is: this might seem like a quickie question. Do you think professors slash teachers should heckle? So like always boss like always tell you or such. Should for you for participation, although the main goal for going to school is to get a degree and basically for you as a student is just to learn stuff from the lectures every day and such. I this is like it could be a simple answer, but do you think that should be a thing? Like participation points should be like part of your grade and such? There's a lot of teachers that have
Uh,
done this recently.
yes, I think so. Because if you put the work in consistently, then I think that should be rewarded. If you don't participate, then you're not going to get the full extent of the course. You're not going to learn everything you need to learn to succeed in that field. So, yeah, I think it's good from a psychological standpoint, if nothing else.
Even if the class is fully lecture, like it's a fully lecture class,
Uh,
like
I
it's
mean,
just
yeah.
all
I
lectures and
mean,
all that.
if every lecture has vital information, then you should be there for every lecture.
Interesting. I don't
You
know.
gotta
I'm
work.
just
You
not.
gotta work hard
I'm
to
fine
succeed in
with. I'm
life.
fine with
Like,
that pressuring me because it keeps me more focused when I do get asked. But I think it just like it doesn't make sense like a lot of times. Just to kind of just, especially one of my classes, just like you keep constantly getting called on, though just for they just keep constantly call on you just to do this, and it's like it's always the same students. They always, and it's kind of sucks sometimes to have to, but I do get it because it just helps you, helps a psychological effect, keeps you more focused, um, in a way. So, so next question relates to kind of professors and teachers. Having talented teachers in a specific area can lead to more success for students. There's always, people a lot of times when you go into college as such, like what teacher you should choose, and there's always people with previous experience who said, "Oh, choose this person instead of this one. It's fun and all that." Um, but there's a problem where there are a lack of teachers teaching a subject that they're not trained in. This is more common in the middle, like in the primary, secondary school level, so middle school and high school. Why has the teacher career been struggling for years now in regards to getting teachers that are qualified?
um, I mean, I feel like teachers and first responders just don't get paid enough, so not many people want to do the job. That's about all I can think of.
Like, I think that's the so could be a solid
Oh!
reason. I think it does make sense where they do not get, especially with the pay being so lack, unions forming because of pay issues. It does make sense of pay being an issue. I think also another thing is it's just not an interesting career. Now
I
I
mean,
like, especially
that's
knowing this is
subjective.
what, well, it matters on if you, but when people in college and such, especially us now, like, do people really think about, oh, I want to teach for a living? And still, I want to work in a real job. I don't want to be in school, especially how many years I've been in school already. Like at the start, like you're already in 12 years, and when you graduate, 12 years in school already when you decide to graduate high school. Do I feel like going into a career where I just gotta teach and teach and teach, and again it's just so repetitive? Like, now other jobs, yeah, it does get repetitive, but I'd rather kind of like be put, just not be so boring. And then you gotta teach, like, kids and all that. Like, you know they can turn your back on you. They can be bossy and all that, especially with technology. They really, kids, they really don't care as long as they only care what's on the media or what's in the social form, but they really don't care about what's happens in school. And you think just kind of putting in your time and dedication will be kind of worth it. And then I don't know. It's just it's a career that is harder to grow by year, and it's just hard to find people who want to, like, who wants to perform. Like, you go to graduate, like you go into graduating college, high school and all that. Do you really want to perform a degree where you want to be a history teacher? No. Or like, some random ass teaching career like a mythology teacher that a lot of people don't even pursue
Yeah,
um overall. So it's
that's
just,
just really not even worth it.
yeah, it's just not, there's no value in it.
There's no job in that
So
for the most part.
so I had like an English teacher who taught mythology, who taught English and mythology, although had no experience with it. Also, someone who taught survival who had no experience with it, and during my high school time. Or like a math teacher teaching a certain math class that they barely have experience with it too. So it's just it sucks that they get put in these because of how lacking the teachers are, how they don't the specialties are really low. But again, it matters. It's just it's hard to. It's such a it's a career that can have such a massive impact, but at the same time, just for the young millennials, it's something that doesn't really interest them anymore, unlike the past. But again, it matters on the person, so we don't know what's going to happen. Such. Uh, do you? So this one's going to kind of go more into real life a little bit more. Do you think the school system needs to implement programs that will help out the poor students community, while also helping them realize their full potential, so they don't go down a crime path after graduating?
Yeah, I feel like that's what a lot of clubs are intended for.
So give me some samples.
Uh, just
Like,
anything like after school activities, sports and study groups, Model UN, stuff like that. It's all there. The kids have to want it for themselves. That's the problem.
uh, I think I think yeah, there's enough. There's a lot that you can do. It does pursue interests, but I does it really kind of real? Yeah, they can do this, but does it really help out like the other situation at home where it's a lot more struggling and all that? Um, but again, it matters on this. Yeah, it does matter on the student. Like, does he want to pursue this or not? Does he feel like he's obligated to wanting to make it? It also matters on the leaders of the group, like reaching out the full potential. Like this could, always leadership said you're a good leader, you should pursue this, and although you're not really interested in it, like people have to realize that full potential of wow, someone really cares about me.
Mm,
Someone really thinks I have the potential, um, and especially for the poorer students where they, you know, they kind of sometimes they have their path somewhat forced to them because of the situation they live in. Like they don't have a lot of money, they have to work jobs and all that they don't enjoy. It's not going to pay enough. They don't find any kind of well, I'm not going to say passion, but it just seems like they
fulfillment.
get forced in, yeah, fulfillment.
Yeah,
So you think those after school programs can provide something different that can actually pursue, interest them, and that's gonna be the part that has to be approached to by these kids of seeing, you know, putting them out of their comfort zone. If you put them out of their comfort zone, doesn't put them something that they haven't been in or not are not going to be forced into the future of like I think that's where you can realize the full potential of kids. But
yeah,
again, that's something I really don't know about.
I agree.
Because I don't know, it just matters on the kids if they want to pursue that opportunity to learn something new and realize that oh wow, I didn't know I can. This debate club, I think we had that in the school. Like you know, you can debate about random stuff. There was anime club in my school where people are dedicated to anime. I was like, cool. I didn't know you
Nice.
can go this deep into it. So it's like fully um, realizing the potential of the brain of saying, wow, there's other people who are interested in this. This is cool. This is something that can get me out of the house. Doesn't make me feel like I want to be depressed going every day after school because I got constantly bullied or just for watch anime by the popular kids, or if that could be a case, but we're not saying that is. But you know, it's
Yeah,
it's nice that someone can care about them after school, and that's the big thing that has to be produced, even for the poor kids. But again, for the poor students and for anyone, it just matters an interest. The poor students they have a harder time because they have to make sure they can help the family kind of feed, have food on the table and all that. So they have to work jobs, and the jobs are not really like fun for them or interesting unless you have good co-workers and all that. But again, it's hard to tell. So do you think so I'm gonna explain what I'm gonna look up trade school real quick, but because I kind of don't remember it. So, do you think a trade school setting should be implemented in high school instead of the usual system so you can increase people in the workforce? So basically, it's during like high school or like during the high school age or like the early college where they try to get people in, like they have certain programs that help them get into the workforce a lot faster. Do you think they should kind of implement that in high school, like earlier in the high school settings, especially instead of like having those traditional courses like having to take history for 4 years, although you're not really interested in it, or English for science, math, those programs where they have no value into the degree that you're thinking about pursuing. And also, could this be a way to actually we're gonna answer that first question first. I'm not gonna go further into it. If you need help with trade school and all that. So let me hear. Some issues. Is he here? Oh, he is here. Oh, yeah, mic issues.
Yeah.
So, I asked about the trade school thing. Like I explained, so it basically gives you a high school like you can be able to take programs that can put you in the workforce faster than taking going to college for 4 years and then have an opportunity to go in the workforce. They implement it sometimes in high school programs, like high school.
Hmm.
No, it's like like. Do you think they should have that kind of system instead of like the traditional where you have to take like have to get certain about history credits, general education, like health credits and all that and such?
Uh, I mean, I think it should be an option, but the thing with trade schools is it limits you to one field. So if you end up hating it, then you're kind of fucked. Um, the oh, hang on. The current system is it's not perfect by any means, but it's good to see a little bit of everything, just so you know like what you actually enjoy and what you're gonna have the most potential with because you care about it the most.
True. It, again, this matters on. I feel like they should do this. Um, First thing I think, especially how college, especially during the high school level, where I think tuition is basically not non-existent. Like you don't have to pay too much, unless you go to private school. That's a different story.
Hmm.
Um, it's something that is a given. It's an option. They do have degree. Especially I think it works good with like any mechanical or like any programs that relate to STEM, like STEM programs, science, math, technology programs. That's where
Hmm.
it works the best. But where you have
Engineering.
those kind of if you, I think this is what you should do. you know, it might be hard because you don't, especially at the young age, like after the end of eighth grade or the end of middle school, you have to choose a program that you want to pursue for life. You could choose a nursing degree, and then you just start from there. Like you start doing it might be a slower process. Maybe you spend 2 years. It's a 6-year program. You start getting your gen rec classes, and how you do the gen rec in college for the first year, and such.
Hmm.
That will be introduced into the first year of high school or first and second year of high school and such. Like maybe yeah, first and second, and probably like one half of the second year, and then you pursue like maybe it's a lot more simpler, like more easier, a lot less stressful, a lot less stressed out in cases. Introduce that, and then you go for like the complete short, like whatever you have to do for your business major, what course you have to take, you gotta get a certain amount of credits and such. Yeah, just have that implemented, and then boom, spend the same, slow process, take your time, doesn't have to be rushed, like kind of like colleges. Um, and then boom, by the end of like, maybe you're 20, 19, 20, you probably learn, you learned a lot, and you probably saved a lot of time. You probably saved about 2 years of college that you could have, that could be today's college system, and boom, you already have a degree, you're working at 20 years old, easy. But I do get like how you want the diversity being set in, because again, I don't think every 14 to 15-year-old knows what they want to do.
No,
Um, so yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
adults
so
don't
it's yeah,
nowadays. Like,
yes, yeah. So it could work if it's implemented successfully. Like if they make it interesting, um, it could work in if they have specific. I think the thing is they have to have specific schools for that. I don't think they can try to do that into a like a like the whole public school has to follow that system or have a split between it. It has to be like a separate kind of schooling system, but like separate type of thing. But I don't know if they really have that. They kind of do have STEM schools and all that where it does be a big advantage and all that, but I don't think it just works in the public setting. If you ever incorporate that into the high school system right now. So next thing is even if you have a 4.0 GPA and really good SAT/ACT scores, people still get declined to their dream colleges, high scholar colleges, which say Harvard, Yale, Dartmouth, Cornell, whatever the
Ivy League,
case,
yeah.
due to not being involved with high school, be involved with your high school, like during your tenure, like participate in activities, football, debate club, anime, doing all these clubs, all these things. Do you think being active with your school matters more than being smart?
Um, I mean, yeah, anybody that works for it, like you may not be able to work as efficiently as some people. You may not be as smart as somebody else, but you can always work harder. So, I mean, whatever you want, if you want it bad enough that you'll put the work in, then you're good.
Even if you have that, you dedicate a lot of time to school.
Yeah, I mean, you should dedicate a
I
lot of
don't.
time to school.
This might be question. This is something hard. I think, yeah, education. Being more active is helpful because you know what you can do for the community. What other interests you can pursue. You can participate in these clubs. They're very interesting. They're very different. It shows that you care about like kind of the community and such. Oh my God, what the goal. But I don't think it's just kind of the sole I don't think they should really heavily focus on that. Like, imagine just being a 4.0 student, you have that perfect GTA, SAT. I don't know why I said GTA, SAT,
You're
ACT
fine.
score, and you don't get accepted because of you being an active student, like being active, dedicated to your grades and all that, which is fine. It's but I don't think that should be a sole reason. Like imagine like how many guys with like a 3.5 GPA get accepted into a university, getting accepted into Harvard. Even they have low SAT scores and ACT scores, but they compete, and they didn't do any honors programs. They just did a lot with the community. They participated in a lot of clubs and all that, and that it's worse than some. I don't know. I think also another thing that could be concerned with it is probably racial preference. It sucks that is a thing. Um, that was I think it was a big controversy a couple years ago where Harvard students didn't really accept Asian people, or they were like disrespect. They didn't really pursue the time with Asians.
I had no idea.
Um, yeah, so that's a big racial thing. Where they accepted it. They probably only accepted like white people to Harvard, and another thing can have a factor. Even if you have the smartness, they really don't have trust in you because of your race and all that. So I don't know. It's just something that sucks. But I think it's again we can't determine what the sole issue is. You can be the cleanest student possible, have that good grade, but nope, they won't accept you because there's something that doesn't show up as fishy, seems fishy to them, and I don't know why. But it sucks. That's kind of a thing, and hopefully that will kind of get fixed in the future. But again, I think I do agree with some points, like always, dedicating a lot, being dedicated even to the school and being like, doing other things besides focusing on school can be interest for college. And, even if you do participate in those activities that you have to work harder, I think, it's a factor. Like I had a 3.6 GPA. I could have had a chance, that was decent enough to get in University of Florida. I think
Yeah, that's
in
pretty good.
case, but I didn't get accepted into it because I didn't think one of the factors is I never really participated in a lot of activities. Like just kind of went, the only thing I did in high school was probably JV football for one
Mm.
year, like for one season. That's it. I didn't do too much. So it's thing that kind of sucks that you can be smart and all that, you have the time, you dedicate, you have the brain smarts, but you didn't really do anything else besides focus on that, and just sucks as thing. But it's again, that's what the college wants to do. What stage during your educational years do you think you start finding your identity?
Uh, I mean, I don't, I don't know, honestly. But, jeez, I guess we're done. I feel like
How
I learned something new
We can go
about
from your
myself
experience
every
too.
year.
Like, when did you start finding your identity? Like, start realizing what you want to do for yourself. Like, oh, no mind. We'll just go with the identity part. Like, when did you start kind of realizing it?
Uh,
And then
Freshman
we'll go
year, I
from there.
guess. I don't know. I mean, it's
Why?
a different experience. It, hang on, I missed. Anyway, it's a different experience when you move like across a state and live by yourself. You start to you have to like fend for yourself a lot more. You don't have your parents around to help you. Um, so you kind of have to come into your own a little bit more. So freshman year is usually pretty big, I would
Of
say.
college?
Yeah.
Just kind of finding your, you have to realize that this ain't no joke anymore.
Hmm.
This, you can't screw around too much anymore. And I do like that answer right there. Just kind of realizing that, you have this, there's a lot more pressure on you right now because you have that, you're all alone. You don't have too much help. You have to do this and that, but you have to find a way to succeed. So you have to have that work ethic and just show to yourself that, okay, I can be able to do this. I can be able to not have this stress, work as hard as I can. Have that identity of, okay, I'm gonna be a hard worker. I'm gonna be I'm gonna find a way to have a positive impact in the community, um, in school and all that, and also I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but I gotta go with finding identity has to be somewhere in the middle of high school. Finding if you're with the popular kids, finding your activities that you like, your passions, what friends you should hang out with, what you know what do you enjoy, what do you not like to enjoy, especially with the pressure during high school where it's a lot of things that can affect it, going for puberty. I know that's middle school. That's something I don't want to get into context, but getting a car, getting a job, being responsible for yourself, and finding out that I want to be a responsible kid, but I also want to do these interests and pursue a lot of things is going to be a big factor into finding identity. But again, it could be college where now it's just you're all by yourself. You don't have the parent support anymore, heavily.
Yeah.
Um, speaking of identity, do you think there has been an increased amount of pressure and early midlife crisis? I don't want to say early midlife crisis, but we'll just say that I just want to make it more dramatic for students wanting to be a part of the popular student group during high school. Like kids, do you think there's pressure trying for people trying to be popular? That's a little more simpler.
I mean, yes, there is. If you're that kind of, I mean, yeah, that's always been a thing.
Have you ever, like, were you part of the pop, like, from your perspective, were you kind of part
Um,
of that popular kid group?
it
And
took
did you have
me a
any
while,
worries?
but I got there. In middle school, no, not at all. Um, as I went through high school, I started making more and more friends and kind of realizing like people aren't like always out to judge you or like get you or make fun of you or whatever. So I don't know. I got a little more comfortable and started branching out, and I did a lot in high school. I was in plays. I did choir. I played football. Um, so it kind of took some time. And I mean, some of my best friends to this day are from high school. A large group of them, actually.
So it took a while to kind of get popular?
Yeah, for me at least. And I mean, my whole thing with that is better late than never, I guess. I don't really care about being popular. I just want to like fit in and
Plus,
be a positive
yeah.
member of the community. That's all.
I was, like, have you noticed people who were, like, from your perspective? Like, can you, how many, like, from your friend, like, the popular group, it might be a big number. How many you think kind of worried about the everyday, like, with their actions and all that? And have, like, what actions or what would they do to try to make themselves popular in such cases?
I don't know. It's not like anybody was really trying that hard. It's just some people are more comfortable in the limelight than others are. It has to do with personality types.
Oh, I was just curious about that.
And some
Because
people
that, some,
really try hard, but I mean, I don't know. I don't judge people that much, so I try not to pay attention to that kind of thing. I just care about how people treat other people.
have you, I'm not, well, it's, like, one thing you saw. Like, it doesn't have to be, it has to be a group or community, but, like, one thing, someone who wasn't that popular tried to do to fit in with the group.
I don't know,
Or, like, with the popular
honestly.
kids. Not, you don't
I'm
like
gonna
keep
have
track
to
of that?
go here in a minute. So could we hear the rest of the questions up, please?
We'll probably ask about two. So we'll probably ask a couple more. Let's see. Would you allow your kids to, like, just say they had an opportunity in esports and such? Opportunity to pursue esports or they want to pursue streaming. Would you allow, if you were to have kids, or, I don't know what the situation for you is, would you allow your kids to kind of pursue, would you force them going into college and such, or would you still pursue them into like, would you let them follow their passion?
Um,
Like, would you
I mean,
consider more fun for you?
It depends on what their chances are. I mean, if I genuinely think they're good enough, then I don't see why not. But I mean, they're definitely gonna go to school. By the time I have kids, college may not be the best career path anymore, like, or the best path to get what you want. So honestly, it's just all about whatever they're passionate about and whatever they're gonna work the hardest at.
Even if it's not the school route?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be the school route. It doesn't matter if as long as you're successful and hardworking and you know.
I would love to have my kids, like, if they have the talent, I would love to pursue it, like, have them pursue it, but I think just kind of education is the first thing because, again, pursuing esports isn't one of those things that's always a guaranteed lifelong thing. Like, gamers kind of are bummed out by 25 and 30. That's not long, not a long way for a lot of us. And you don't, it's a business that hasn't been really money savvy yet, in regards to paychecks, salaries, although it's been growing in money, it just hasn't been
Yeah,
a
I mean,
business like that.
by the time my kids are old enough to do esports, there's gonna be plenty of money because I mean, It'll be several years down the line, and it's only growing in popularity. My dad, like I said, was a pro athlete, and that's not by any means a guaranteed career. So, I mean, why not let him go for it? If I think he's good enough, if he thinks he's good enough, she thinks they're good enough, whatever.
Yeah, it makes sense. But again, it's just hopefully the paychecks will pay. But again, it's not everybody's like talented in that, and it just and I don't know what I'm just gonna say there. But probably gonna ask you two more questions, then we got the closing top question.
Cool.
When you What do you think of the increased amount of drugs and alcohol being consumed by minors or anyone over, minors or anyone over 21, um, during high school or college, especially when they're studying? Do you think that's a mark for concern, or is that nothing kind of to you? It's just some
Um,
and
I mean, honestly, that kind of stuff is. Um,
also
that kind of
answer
stuff.
this.
That kind of stuff is always going
Um,
to be available. Um, it's. I don't know. Honestly, that's personal preference, and I mean, whatever anybody decides. But as long as it doesn't, as long as you're responsible, that's what really matters. This new party wasn't invite only. Sorry about that.
that's a, um, it yeah, it does make sense. I don't know. I think it's a big concern, especially for the younger population. Um, especially with the amount of vaping being a thing, marijuana, weed, um, alcohol being given to minors, white claws. That's probably something you probably a lot of people have heard of recently, as that's been increased in amounts, and it's just very concerning because I think students are allowed more often, especially in college with the frats and sororities, are really rather more willingly to pursue, focus on, oh, let's have a party, let's get drunk, than kind of focus on their education a lot of times. And it's kind of sad to kind of see that probably increase. But again, there's a lot of students who are really responsible, but there's a lot of students who are not. So
Mm-hmm.
it's something we can't control. And last question after you before we get to closing. How can we improve the education system today?
Improve
Like a
it.
couple of things.
Um,
Like it
Pay
give you
teachers
bullet
more
points.
because you'll get more qualified candidates, and then that leads to you know better quality of learning. Um, that's one thing for sure. Maybe I've heard. Well, I live in Colorado, so they're thinking about dropping the school week to just 4 days, and I think that might really help kids nowadays because it's just a fact like everyone's attention span is shorter because of all the social media, technology, all that kind of stuff. If we take in so much more stimuli nowadays that it's harder to focus in general than it used to be. Um, so yeah, that's a couple things.
I probably can agree with those things too. I I would love the 4 day. I know this. I have the 4 day weekday in college. It will be kind of nice to have that,
Hmm.
so you can
Because
kind of
you get
dedicate
like the
more.
one day during the week to go do errands and stuff. Um,
And then you got the weekend.
Other countries have
That's
better school systems. I think they don't go as long. They'll have like 2 days on, a day off, 2 days on, a day off. Then they'll do like 2 days on, 2 days off, stuff like that. Just depends on however the week rolls out. But it's nice to like have some time to decompress. Um, give you
yeah,
time to
those
like
make
absorb
sense.
the knowledge.
Yeah, I feel especially with how much in college you kind of get rushed. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I do have the 3 day weekend, but especially it's harder for a job and all that. You know, say you work the week, weekend, maybe you just solely work Saturday and Sunday and the weekends because of the job. Like it'd be nice to have the extra Friday off so you could kind of dedicate that time to studying and all that
Yeah.
and one day that you don't have school to studying, whatever you need to do. So the closing top question for you is, what was your favorite part about college, or do you have any favorite moments about college?
Um, I just enjoyed like every moment that I had in college because I knew you're not gonna come back. So whatever you're doing, make sure like when you're
Very
graduated,
simple.
you've only got 4 years, so you better have fun and you better make them count. So I've got a lot of different really good memories. I think one of my favorite, if I had to pick one, my favorite memory is in Tennessee. It never snows, but it snowed like right before football season, and everybody in the dorm quadrant, the freshman dorm quadrant, like came out into the courtyard, and we had like a massive snowball fight. Um, and then midway through that had been going on for like 45 minutes. All the underclassmen football players like ran into um, the quadrant thing, and were like, "We're gonna go break into the stadium." So we all literally ran to the stadium, which it's called Neyland Stadium, and it is like
Yeah, I don't know. That
top
was about
three.
100K.
Yeah, man, top three biggest stadiums in the country. And we broke in there and had a snowball fight. We divided into like two groups, one in each end zone, and then ran at each other. It was so cool. It was so much fun. But yeah, and that's just
That's right.
one of my fun memories in college. You gotta just get out there and do stuff. I'm like pretty introverted, but I got out and had
I
fun,
probably
played
need to be more of an
sports.
extrovert too. Yeah.
It's not even
I
like
probably.
being an extrovert. It's just
Well,
even if
yeah.
you're introverted, you just got to take a little time for yourself to like recharge your batteries or whatever. But you can go out and do stuff for sure.
True. Thanks for joining me on the show. Go Vols. That's kind of.
Yes,
Do you want to
sir.
give any shouts before we end the show off to any person or say?
Well, I guess all my friends back home in Memphis, I miss all of them, and my family, I guess too. Yeah, sounds good.
Well, that's nice. Thanks for joining then. Hopefully you have fun wherever you're going. And that's
Yeah, you
gonna
too,
be it.
man.
Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe on the YouTube channel Vipers XBL first, and bye.